Ohm, 9 AD. The air in the Domus Augusti smelled of myrrh and blood. I was Decima, 17, handmaiden to the Virgo Maxima. My ash-stained fingers trembled as I fastened the crimson stola on Cornelia, the chief Vestal. But the fabric wasn't for her, it was for Flavia, a Vestal Virgin being married off to settle her family's debt to Senator Gaius Silius. "This is no ordinary marriage, child," Cornelia whispered, her face pale. "It's the Conferiatio." The ceremony at Jupiter's temple was spectacle enough. Flavia recited vows in a dead voice. Silius watched her like livestock. They shared the spelt cake. They were married. But the real horror waited in the wedding chamber. As drunken songs echoed through Silius's vulgar villa, I followed the pronuba, Livia Primitiva, a keeper of Rome's oldest, darkest laws, into the cubiculum nuptiale. I carried a cedarwood box that felt heavier than stone. Silius entered, wearing only a white tunic. His eyes held cold triumph. "Close the door," Livia commanded. The room fell silent. From the box, she produced a bronze knife, white linen, and a clay vessel. "Flavia, kneel." Flavia knelt, crimson skirts pooling on marble. She didn't look at her husband. "The Traditio Purgamentum," Livia chanted. "The delivery of the proof." She handed Silius the knife and linen. "The law grants you this right, to claim not just her body, but the verifiable sanctity of it." What happened next wasn't consummation, it was verification. With clinical precision, Silius used the knife. A quick motion, a muffled gasp. Dark blood welled on the linen strip. Ritual bloodletting to prove virginity before the marriage bed. Archaic belief held this guaranteed male heirs. Silius examined the stain like a merchant checking goods, then handed it to Livia. She folded it into the clay vessel. "This proof shall be interred in your lararium," she announced, "to nourish your family's genius." The ritual was complete. The normal wedding night could proceed. As Livia led me out, I glanced back. Flavia still knelt, a single tear cutting through her powder. Silius placed a heavy hand on her shoulder, not in comfort, but in claim. Back in our chamber, Cornelia saw my horror. "It's an old law," she said wearily, "from when Rome believed gods favored blood over prayer. A law that treats a woman's worth as a physical substance to be measured and buried." Flavia bore no sons, only 2 daughters who died in infancy. Silius, embroiled in treason against Emperor Tiberius, was forced to suicide in 16 AD. His villa was confiscated. I wondered if that clay vessel was smashed or left to gather dust. I became a junior Vestal acolyte, the sacred fire my only companion. Then in 19 AD, frantic knocking echoed through our temple. Livia Primitiva stood there, bent and ghostly, eyes wild. "Decima, the Purgamentum! It was not buried, it was sold!" She dragged me to a Suburra basement. Greek dealer Lycos grinned over a table. There sat Flavia's clay vessel, seal broken. "A curiosity for specialized collectors," he sneered. "What's more powerful than a Vestal's ritual blood?" Worse, dozens of vessels lined the wall, each tagged with names and dates. An archive of Rome's elite women reduced to jars of dried blood. "The most valuable," Lycos pointed to an exquisite vessel, "is recent." The tag read, "Livilla, niece of Tiberius, 16 AD, the emperor's niece. If this became known..." The door splintered open. Imperial guards poured in. Behind them stood Sejanus, Praetorian prefect, Rome's second most powerful man. His eyes went straight to Livilla's vessel. His face showed not shock but recognition. He already knew. Livilla was his lover. Their conspiracy against Tiberius was Rome's worst-kept secret. This vessel was blackmail material of nuclear potency. Sejanus looked at me, then at Livia. We were liabilities. "Take the vessels," he ordered. "All of them. And these 3. We weren't thrown in prison. We were taken to Sejanus's private villa. The vessels were arranged before him like a general surveying troops. "You understand what this is," Sejanus said, not asking. "A registry of shame. Each vessel represents a woman whose family wanted absolute assurance of purity or wanted to prove another family's impurity." He picked up Livilla's vessel. "This one could topple empires." Livia spoke, voice trembling. "What will you do with us?" Sejanus smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "The dealer Lycos will disappear. His collection becomes mine. You, old woman, will continue your services. But for me, and you," he looked at me, "a Vestal acolyte. Perfect. You will become my eyes in the temple." "I serve Vesta," I said, finding courage I didn't know I had. "You serve Rome," he corrected, "and I am Rome's future. Help me and these secrets remain buried. Oppose me and I'll expose every woman here, starting with Flavia's family and ending with every Vestal whose purity has ever been verified." It was a devil's bargain. Protect hundreds of women's honor by serving a monster. I looked at the vessels. Each represented a Flavia, a woman broken for power. I nodded. For 3 years I served 2 masters, Vesta's flame and Sejanus's shadow. I reported temple gossip. I watched patrician families. I learned that Traditio Purgamentum was more common than anyone admitted. Then in 22 AD, Livia Primitiva died. On her deathbed, she grasped my hand. "The ritual, it was never about proving purity," she rasped. "It was about control. But there's another secret." She told me of a second box, the Liber Veritatis, Book of Truth, hidden in the Temple of Vesta's foundations. It contained not names, but dates and results. "Some vessels contain no blood," she whispered, "because some virgins weren't. Their families paid fortunes for the ritual to be faked. The real proof is in the book." She died with the secret half told. That night, I searched the temple's oldest chamber. Behind a loose stone, I found it, a lead box containing a parchment ledger. My hands shook as I read. Flavia's entry, 9 AD, blood present. Livilla's, 16 AD, blood absent. Livilla hadn't been a virgin. Her family had paid Livia to fake the ritual. Sejanus's blackmail was based on a lie, but the most shocking entry was the last. Cornelia, Virgo Maxima, 1 BC, blood absent. Our chief Vestal, the most sacred woman in Rome. She'd broken her vow decades before taking office. I confronted Cornelia in the sacred hearth's glow. Her serene mask crumbled. "I was 17, she whispered, in love with a young tribune. We were careless. When I was chosen as Vestal, my family was desperate. They paid Livia's predecessor a fortune. The ritual was performed with chicken blood." She looked ancient. "Every day since, I've tended a fire symbolizing purity I didn't have. My whole life is a lie built on another lie." "What should I do with this?" I asked, holding the ledger. "Sejanus must never have it," she said urgently. "He'll use it to destroy everyone, including Tiberius. Rome will burn." We devised a plan, not to expose secrets, but to bury them forever. I requested audience with Sejanus, bringing the ledger. His eyes gleamed as he read it, the power to destroy the imperial family itself. "This is worth more than legions," he breathed. "Exactly," I said, "which is why you should burn it." He stared at me. "Think," I pressed. "You blackmail Livilla with a vessel that supposedly proves her impurity. But this book proves the ritual was faked. Your leverage disappears. Worse, if Tiberius learns you knew his niece wasn't virgin and didn't tell him." Sejanus's calculations were visible. "Keep the ledger, risk exposure. Destroy it, keep power through the vessels alone." "Burn it," he finally ordered. I threw the ledger into his hearth myself. As flames consumed Rome's darkest secret, I made my own calculation. The vessels still existed. Sejanus still had power. 2 nights later, a fire broke out in Sejanus's private archive. The official story? Faulty lamp. The truth? A Vestal acolyte with access to sacred fire-starting tools. Every vessel melted into indistinguishable clay lumps. Every tag burned to ash. When Sejanus confronted me, I was ready. "The fire of Vesta purifies," I said calmly. Perhaps the gods decided these proofs had served their purpose. His fury was terrifying, but he couldn't touch me. I was a Vestal, protected by ancient law, and without the vessels, his leverage over Flavia was gone. Months later, Sejanus's conspiracy unraveled. Tiberius finally acted. In 31 AD, Sejanus was arrested in the Senate, strangled, and his body thrown down the Gemonian stairs. Flavia was locked in a room by her mother and starved to death. Rome celebrated the tyrant's fall. None knew about the clay vessels that had almost shaped history. Epilogue. I became Virgo Maxima after Cornelia's death. For 30 years, I tended the sacred flame. I never married. I never broke my vow. But every year, on the anniversary of Flavia's wedding, I performed a private ritual. I'd take a single drop of my own blood, pricked with a sacred pin, and let it fall into the eternal fire. It wasn't proof of purity, it was remembrance. For Flavia, for Flavia, for every woman whose body had become a battlefield for men's power. The horrifying wedding night ritual wasn't about virginity. It was about reducing women to commodities that could be measured, certified, and traded. It was Rome's darkest secret, not because it was violent, but because it was bureaucratic. It turned sacred trust into forensic evidence. When I died in 54 AD, they found me before the hearth, the fire still burning. My successor would never know about the ledger, the vessels, or the blood in the fire. But sometimes, when new brides trembled before their wedding nights, I'd whisper, "Your worth isn't in what can be proven. It's in what can never be measured." The ritual was forgotten, but its lesson remains. Beware any system that demands proof of your soul in physical form. For once measured, you can be owned, and once owned, you can be buried.